everybody. Today I am going to tell you all about the course Global Trade and Commerce. I will try to give you a basic overview and tell you what are the basic contents of this course, which will help you decide on going forward what you will get from this course. So basically the global trade paradigm and the global economic environment is undergoing a lot of changes. International landscape, trade and commerce landscape is continuously changing, and the problem is compounded by the fact that in today's world, government and policy makers, academic, businesses have to confront with unending streams of information. So they don't know how to proceed forward, how to go about with policy making. They have to understand a diverse set of issues to be able to look at policy making, and also business managers need to understand the business environment and the market conditions prevailing across the globe. So the global business environment, as I said, is undergoing a lot of changes, and everybody has to update themselves to be able to understand the global economy. People who are at the helm of policy making in all emerging and developing countries, including India, need to be constantly updated on the changing world environment, especially the uncertainty facing global trade, the geopolitical tensions amongst economies, and the rise of nationalism and anti-immigration sentiments across the world. Therefore, it is very essential that everybody is up to date and not left behind in the race to achieve the coveted position in the world economy. So the basic objective of this course, Global Trade and Commerce, is to provide the participants with a comprehensive idea of the developments taking place in global trade and commerce across the globe. The understanding would help them make informed policy decisions and policy choices regarding various issues facing the global economy as well as India. Now let me give you the session wise details of this course. I will be telling you about 10 topics. So we have 10 sessions in the course, and also I will tell you a little bit about the evaluation of this course. So in the first session, I will be focusing on the foundations of the multilateral framework of international trade led by the WTO, from GATT to WTO. I will tell you about the basic principles of WTO, the basic principles of GATT, all the agreements that come under the WTO regime, the SPS and TBT measures, the anti-dumping measures, and the current problems associated with the World Trade Organization and whether it is losing its efficacy in the multilateral trading system. So this is all about session 1 of the course. So we will be focusing on WTO, which is a major multilateral organization in the world, and understand all about its functioning. In session 2, I will be telling you all about globalization and the changing political regimes. As you know, globalization is the driving force today of the global economy. Most of the emerging economies in the world are pursuing globalization. At the same time, you see that there are rise in protectionist tendencies across the globe. Most of the countries, especially the United States and Europe, have started looking inwards. What kind of implications these protectionist tendencies are going to have on India and other emerging economies, I will tell you a little about that. Globalization is losing its sheen, and we often hear of the term gated globalization. That is basically a cautious approach to globalization. I will be telling you all about that, Brexit, and also the strategy of India to deal with today's problem. So this is all about the session on globalization and the changing political regimes. In session 3, I will tell you all about trade blocs, basically the political economy of trade blocs. As you know, RTAs, the regional trading agreements, and FTAs have mushroomed across the globe. So what are the meaning and types of RTAs? What are the deepest forms of integration in RTAs, examples of that, the global trends in RTAs, the debate of multilateralism versus regionalism, the pros and cons, and whether RTAs act as building blocks or stumbling blocks to the World Trade Organization. So this is all about session 3. Session 4 would focus on the regional economic integration and mega free trade agreements. As we all know, now countries are going for mega FTAs. Some examples of mega FTAs I will tell you in detail, like the RCEP, the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, the TISA, that is the Trade and Services Agreement, and also I will tell you about TTIP, the Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership between the UK and the United States, why India did not sign the RCEP in spite being a part of it and having taken part in almost 27 rounds of negotiations, and what should be India's strategy with regard to trade blocs. All of this will be covered in session 4. Session 5 is on trade wars. As you know, trade wars have dominated the global economy in the last few months. The trade war, the bitter trade war going on between the United States and China is a classic example as to which extent the countries can go to fight with each other. So I'll tell you all about the history of trade wars, why trade wars happened, the ongoing trade war between the US and China and its implications for the global economy as well as India. In session 6, we focus on the Chinese economy, China in the world economy, what has happened to the Chinese economy post its entry into the World Trade Organization, whether China has fulfilled its obligation to the WTO and what impact it had on India and the rest of the world. I'll tell you all about the Belt Road Initiative of China, how China is trying to establish its hegemony across the globe and become a global economic superpower. I'll tell you all about the India-China trade relations with focus on the India-China trade deficit and China's relations with the rest of the world post the pandemic. So these are some of the issues that I will be covering in session 6 on China and the world economy. Now session 7 focuses on the global financial crisis of 2007-8. Now the global economy, as you know, was in a serious recession and crunch during the global financial crisis. What were the coordinated policy responses of different countries? What was the role of the G20 in this? And the major initiatives undertaken by several countries including Japan, Germany, Europe to kind of overcome this crisis. I'll tell you all about the global financial crisis and whether India was insulated from the crisis or not and what kind of impact the global financial crisis had on the Indian economy. Now session 8, I'll tell you all about the multilateral institutions and the international groupings. We will discuss the International Monetary Fund, the working of the World Bank, how important they are in today's world, whether they need to change themselves, whether they need to restructure themselves, and of course international groupings like the BRICS, how important they are, whether they are able to exercise some power on the global economy. I'll tell you about the G20, which was a coordinated response to the global financial crisis of 2007-8, whether it has succeeded in bringing about stability in the global economy and it has taught us how to deal with the financial crisis. And as I told you, some of the debates centering around the multilateral organizations like the IMF and World Bank. All of this will be covered in session 8 of the course. In session 9, we focus on the FDI policy. As you know, FDI is very important for countries. It is considered to be good debt. Most of the FDI that comes into the country is long term. FDI could be greenfield, it could be brownfield. So what is the FDI policy across the globe? What are the trends in investments? And we focus on the Indian economy, we focus on the FDI policy in India. We look at the ease of doing business and reforms that have been undertaken by the Indian government to attract FDI. And will India continue to be a hub for foreign direct investment, and how the pandemic will affect Indian investments and global investments will be also understood in this session on the FDI policy. The last session of the course, I'll tell you all about the future of the world economy. I'll try to conclude by telling you how the pandemic has affected various sectors across the globe and in India, what we need to do, what is the roadmap ahead for India and the global economy through this crisis, the corona crisis. So this is what the session 10 is all about. Now, as I told you, every session will have a PowerPoint, and at the end of the PowerPoint there will be a quiz. It has MCQs, that is multiple choice questions. There will be 3 multiple choice questions and the answers to this quiz are embedded in the PowerPoint itself. Nothing is over and above the PowerPoints. So if you have carefully gone through the PowerPoint, you will be able to answer the quiz. Now webinars will be organized during the course to discuss topics of contemporary relevance, and the mode of final evaluation will of course be the written exam. So I hope you will enjoy this course, and at the end of the course you will get a comprehensive understanding of the functioning of the global economy, the global trade and commerce. Thank you very much.